a better Nigeria? Is it a myth or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria?
Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only drive to be an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Reju. Hi, my name is Onari. You're welcome to another episode of Answers with Dr. Reju. I have in the studio this evening Obi and Sheung and Dr. Reju. Welcome everyone. So today, our focus is on business ownership, business startup, business financing and more. For emphasis, let's listen to some musings on business. Be your own boss. Gain financial security. Take your destiny in your hands. Gain your freedom. These and more are the motivational sound bites heralded to our teeming youths who are indecisive when it comes to taking the plunge into the less known world of entrepreneurship. But are these sound bites enough to stimulate a hesitant person? Does starting a business really offer what we are popularly told? Does business success really depend on personality traits or emotional permutations? Should the question be, who can succeed in business, or what business can anyone succeed in? Yes, indeed, the world of business is less known. Yet what we do know scares us more. A research carried out by Stanford University states that 5 out of 10 businesses survive in the first year of starting, and only 1 out of the remaining 5 will survive after 5 years.
Gallup poll, a research think tank, states that only 18% of business owners in Nigeria are thriving beyond average. In another of its research, it found out that 63% are operating their businesses unregistered due to uncertainty it will survive for long. Yet, Gallup statistics also states that there is a 40% chance for getting any paid job in Nigeria, and that there is only a 10% chance of keeping that job beyond 5 years. Today's youth is in a dilemma. Whether you choose a paid job or the path of business ownership, the statistics are grim, and your chances for advancement are very slim. Answers with Dr. Reju will go on a journey into the world of business to see at a glance the necessary fundamentals required for business initiation and sustainability. We will delve into questions like, what really is entrepreneurship? What are the core pillars of business culture? Why choose to go into business? Join us as we clarify life's critical issues on Answers with Dr. Reju.
So let's start our questions. Obi, you have a go.
Dr. Reju, I've heard you say a lot of times that if society functioned the way it's meant to, 95% of the people there will be self-employed. In other words, they will be managing some sort of business. Please, I want you to clarify that, for better understanding.
Okay, maybe it's better we take that off from what we mean by business, right? Business, that's where we get the word busy. Business is what you're busy doing. Business is what consumes your time. But in this particular context, what we are talking about is something that an individual thinks up, having observed his environment, and is able to identify a particular need in the environment and creatively, position himself to be the one through the means of quality service provision to meeting that need. That's the way I will situate business. And that becomes very important, with what is going on in our society today. I think somebody asked a question maybe in one of our episodes that I said the first thing the graduate should do is not to design a CV.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing that we're talking about here. Because if you look at even our little city, Jos, a city of a bit less than 1 million people, there's still a lot of uncharted territories. There's still loads of opportunities. But you see, human beings will naturally gravitate toward that which is easiest. Somebody say, well, like water will flow to the lowest level. But those who are going to become very, very useful to society, they must be able to see something where society is lacking. where society is, that we are not being helped, and the person is able to see it. So my prescription for business is this. A true businessman, when he walks on the street, he sees a need. He sees a need. And he doesn't just see that need, he's also beginning to think of how he can meet that need. And how he meet that need is able to now, be able to construct a kind of a situation where what people need becomes what they begin to demand. I don't know if I'm clear. That because most time people don't know what they need until they see it. Oh, so he's able to identify the need, and then through that need, he converts, a businessman converts people's need to what they begin to demand.
Pardon me, but from the response you have given, I'm still thinking we need to back up a little bit.
Okay.
Why do we need to go into business?
Because business is the way by which the needs of society are being met. Okay. Because business basically, strictly speaking, is provision of goods and services. Because all these things we've been talking about, from time we started about wealth to work, and we're getting to business now, they are all actually linked. So if there are no businesses, society is not serviced. We have to go back there now to see what business really is. The motive for going into business is not to make money, right? It's to actually provide services. Now, in providing the service, you can make money. But making money is not the primary. That's why everything that has benefited society, those who create those things, they never set out to make money. They saw a need. They wanted to provide a particular service. And if the product they design and produce to meeting that particular need, if it becomes something that a lot of people begin to use, it becomes natural. It becomes a natural consequence that they make money. Right? Because the moment you go into business with the motive of making money, you will never design a good product. You will compromise on standard if it is to make money. So maybe I can finish up that particular process. See a need. Right? Create a demand. After you've created the demand, you want to hone your skill. So that what you have provided or what you have produced continue to add, it begins to pick up like an increasing standard. It gets better in terms of quality, is the word I'm looking for. It gets better in terms of quality. And then it gets to a point that the way society will begin to actually use that particular product of yours, you will get to a point where in the real sense of it, you will need partners. You will need partners. So let's look at those 4 points. See a need. A businessman, a true businessman, somebody who has this in his blood. When you walk the street, you see people's needs. What do they need here? And then once you've identified it, you want to be able to meet that need by designing a product that will make that their need a demand. Right? Make it a demand. And then you want to begin to hone your skill. You want to continue to increase in terms of skill acquisition so that the quality of that service or that product keeps increasing. And then it gets to a point it becomes something you can't do alone. You have to seek partnership. Right? Absolutely. So that you keep getting better. So see a need, create a demand, hone your skill, build partnership. That's how to build a viable, a business that will be there forever. That's how it's done.
Sheon, you have a question to throw the way you're... Is it a difficult question? Because the squint is...
Well, based on all that you said, you sound entrepreneurial. And a lot of this sounds entrepreneurial. But what about those needs that are already existent in systems? They exist in systems that... or in businesses that we already see. They are around us. Either in the shops that we see, mechanic workshops, all of those things. The idea is you go in and you help make that business work even better than it has always worked. So you're not necessarily thinking about a new product, but you're thinking about a new way of servicing.
That's a possibility too. That's a possibility. I mean, it's actually happening now because you mentioned maybe artisans like mechanics and all those kind of people. The kind of cars coming out now, it has actually maxed out their level of skill.
Yes.
You know, I remember, I had a car when the car started using brain box. My mechanic couldn't handle it. And even now abroad they use electric cars. The mechanic, the first thing he wants to do is to put a screwdriver somewhere. There's nowhere to put a screwdriver in that one. So business also includes existing, provision of goods and services. You can go in there and do an upgrade. It might be the person that's already doing it, because what I tell you need to be in tune with current technological realities. There are diagnostic. I mean, the cars that comes out now, maybe you use a diagnostic machine, to do your diagnosis and things like that, and but a lot of these mechanics need that kind of training. So another business might be, why don't I study those diagnostic materials, right, and begin to provide some sort of training for these mechanics? That's a business. So that might fit into what you are talking about, right? It might fit into what you are talking about. It's still about seeing a need, because that becomes a need. And then you create an awareness where the mechanics see their shortcomings. And then they begin to demand the service that you are providing. And then you want to be sure that you really know what you're talking about. You get skillful in it. So your business now might not be fixing cars, but training those who fix cars to begin to fix cars better.
Now, a lot of things are running through my mind.
Okay.
Because I want to ask myself a question. Number one.
You ask me.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Number one, because I'm in business, so I know that the things you are saying are not as simple as being said. But you are saying them in a way that looks so simple.
It is simple.
So I want to ask, what, in your opinion, Dr. Reju, is the reason why our business culture is as poor as it is? What I mean by business culture, the practice of people coming out of the university looking for a need, getting the requisite training or skills to be able to meet that need, and you're actually going into business. Why is it so poor?
Let me look at the African, Nigerian kind of context to answer that particular question. Our greatest strength in terms of value is fast becoming our greatest source of weakness. And that's our communal kind of value system. Because we don't know when to stop helping people. Right? We don't know when to stop helping people. Because people have expectations that if I don't have a job, my uncle somewhere will help me out. And the helping out is not to do anything for me on the sustainable, it's just to give me a handout. It's just to give me pocket money. So human beings need a minimum level of pressure for them to get creative, for them to become adventurous. Many times our society, there's something that I always say, that if somebody is falling, don't stop it. Let him hit the ground. Right? Let the person fall. Right? Maybe I'll take it to the Bible. Did God know when Eve and Adam were going to eat the fruit? I think if he's a God that knows everything, I think he knows. But they will never learn a lesson if you stop them halfway. If you stop them halfway, they will never learn a lesson.
They will repeat it.
They will repeat it. They will go back there again. But when they saw what that particular route that they took and where that journey ended, I think if they brought them back to that garden, they will never repeat that.
In fact, they will probably eat that snake.
So that's what our society does. So you will have 25-year-old, 30-year-old people still looking up to one uncle for something. We don't let people, right, actually get to a point where they have their back to the wall, right? And because I'm talking about something that is existential here, something that is human. When you have your back to the wall, there is always, you will go through that wall. You break that wall down. A true human being. But the moment we begin to we create this circle. You go to church, you hear this encouragement. Your family give you, it is going to be well. They tell you here, there's a family here. Somebody else is thinking about how they are going to solve your problem. You will never have a creative culture. You will never have. So that's the challenge that I see. You see, having a community kind of thing as a value system is good. But we need to know where to draw the line, because there's a time when, like a book somebody wrote, when helping hurts. Sometimes to help somebody, you are really hurting the person. Let's allow people to be able to discover themselves. Some people are born entrepreneurs, but we've put a lot of comfort around them that kills the entrepreneurial spirit.
Our communal culture, which is our most prized attribute, has now become our weakness. Is there an age, that we should begin to train children, young adults, to have a business mind or business spirit?
You can actually start as early as possible. It just depends on the level, right? I was given an instance of maybe you live with your parents, and after you've left school, you start paying rent. And I was telling the story of a guy who asked the son to be paying rent after the guy left school. And the guy was there maybe about 5 to 6 to 7 years. By the time the guy was ready to go to his own house, and the father told him, you are not going to rent a house, because every dime you've paid in the last 5, 6, 7 years, I have it saved for you. And you can go own your own home. And I'll tell you another story. Anytime, for those who always hang around me, know the story of a guy that I said it was a scholarship that gave me the opportunity to go to school, in the US. And he was introduced into business at age maybe about 6 or 7 by his illiterate mom. Let me tell you how illiterate that family is. When the guy got a scholarship to go to Harvard, the father was worried, because he asked the son, is it a good school? That's how illiterate and how primitive they were. Now, how did the mom teach Dennis to start business? When they want to buy house supplies, we ask Dennis to follow him to the store, and they'll buy what American calls groceries. And they'll buy it. When they get back home, he will sell the groceries back to Dennis and ask Dennis to sell it back to the house, and taught Dennis how to put a markup. That was how Dennis started business. He taught Dennis, because there are many times they will run out, and he taught Dennis how to do the other level. That you don't wait on the level everything is finished before you go back to the store to go and replenish. Now, that's what we are doing now in our school. The students in our school manage the talk shop.
Really?
Yeah, we're teaching them how to do business. So it can start that early, and it can start from when you finish school at 27, like the guy who was paying rent to the dad. So that's how. But I believe the earlier the better, so that people know. These are things that should be part of us. It should be part of us, because that's how society grows. That's how society gets so broad and becomes so creative. Because everywhere you go, there's always a need to be met. There's a prediction that was made that the next set of millionaires are going to come from Asia and not from Africa. Because they said when an African gets to the Western country, maybe to Europe or to America, he asked, what can I do? So he goes to clean the station. He does menial jobs in the hotel. But when an Asian gets there, he asks, what do they need? Today, Asians are the richest people. If you go to a place like London, they own most of the corner shops. Indians and Pakistanis and all this kind of thing. You see Nigerians and Ghanaians and everything, they clean the floor in the train stations. They do the menial jobs. So we need to learn to be very creative. You, Onari, you were telling me a story about some guys in Tunwada who started a dog washing business. It's because those guys, they looked at the environment and they see that people have a problem keeping their dogs clean. They don't have the time. That became a need. If I see those guys, I want to invest in that business.
Same here.
I want to invest, I want to maybe search on the web what is the most effective way to actually clean dogs. Why don't we think about home service? That kind of a thing. The guy that does car wash, I said, have you looked at better technology of washing cars? He's a very intelligent guy and he said he has, but his problem is power. And now that's where governments fail to help this creative spirit. You know, to actually resource, because what all the government should do is not to provide jobs for anybody, create the enabling environment. You know, so for any government that can't create something as simple as power, nobody should be campaigning for it. No, I don't want to go into politics right now. You can't come talk to me and be promising me power. That should be given. It should be given. So that guy, his brain is popping with ideas. He wants to put together good technology that can wash cars, but he can't do it. Because cars, when they wash it now in places where things work, it's a drive-through. It's a drive-through. People don't have time to wait. For me to wash my car, I need to stay there for like 45 minutes. In a place where people are business-minded, we will be counting that 45 minutes in monetary terms. There's something they call the time value of money, right? Because time that we spend in traffic, we should be able to bring it down to how much will I have made? How many dogs will I have washed in 45 minutes? And I'm here rooted to wash my car. I will have washed many dogs. Now I'm washing my car. I can't go to my business. So this is how society should think. Because let me say this on a broad level. People talk about revolution in Nigeria. It can never happen. If I want to start a revolution in Nigeria, they will tell me I'm an Ijaw man. The next guy from the other ethnic group will not support me. But you see, economic issues are common. The way the Ijaw man feels hunger is the same way the Biro man feels it. So business principles are universal. The challenge is universal. If there's any revolution that can happen in Nigeria, it's economic. When everybody is gainfully employed, that nobody cares what the government does. And if the government doesn't behave that time, we have enough muscle to call them to order. So schools need to have business in their curriculum. And it's not just something to pass an exam. Because I know they have business studies, but it's for WAEC. But I'm talking about practice. Something they can experiment with. You know, you bought the pencil in the talk shop for maybe like 2 naira. You sell it for 2 naira 50. How did you get to, you know, when people put prices on their products, I ask them, how did you arrive at that? How did you arrive at that price? Many times it's arbitrary because we've not been taught to be business minded. Did you factor in the transportation? How about your skill? How do you quantify your skill? I mean, this is a radio program of 30 minutes. We can't really go, you know, deep into all that. Because you asked about age to start. It can start at any point in time. Because most of the business ideas that we know is just inspired by greed to make money. No, business is ever to make money. What gladdens the heart of a businessman is that guy has a need, I've been able to meet it. That's it.
Obi, you wanna?
Yeah, because we're still talking about philosophy here, mentalities, and we still just want to be able to address the pervasive mentalities, you know, around us.
Yeah.
For me, I'm trying to offer a service, you know, with Study Lab.
Yeah.
Developed and designed the product. But then the culture of get a good job, you know, is still always in my ear. I want you to, you know, just take some time to comment on that, on the strong pressure on school leavers to get a job because it's secure, you know, and not just any job, government job, right? Because of that security, that ease, you know, and things like that.
Yeah, you know, again, it brings me back to this issue of that's a narrative in the society. Nobody will ask a school leaver, somebody just finished youth service and said, have you started a business? The question is what? Have you gotten a job? Have you sent your CV to Uncle so? They are recruiting somewhere. It's the narrative. But you see, that has to change because the truth is, the jobs are not there. Especially with technological advancement. The need for people is getting lower and lower. In fact, now that with the upsurge of even robots and all those kind of things, right? That to me is an opportunity. It's an opportunity because the world is still in big need. There are a lot of things that people still need. So we need to begin to change that narrative. I asked somebody who finished, he graduated from a university in the UK and came back home and read business administration. So what are you going to do? He said, well, I'll try and get a job. And you studied, you have a master's in business administration, right? Is that not what MBA is? And I said, you should be looking for a business to administer. Now, we are not saying that people shouldn't look for jobs. It shouldn't be our default. Because the truth is, there are no jobs enough to go round. The job you want to go and do, the company you want to go and work in, somebody actually created it. Why don't we, even if you're going to get a job, it might be to go hone your skill. I told someone also who worked in the bank, and I said, do you want to be the managing director of that bank? He said, no. I said, do you know that that's the best thing for you? To be the managing director of that bank, or at least be on the board, be an executive director, get to the peak of that career. There are people who will take that route. And I said, what I tell this person is, every professional exam along in that field, you must do it. You must study and write those exams and excel in it. That's when you get there. If you are not going to go that way,
a breather here, so that sinks in because that's heavy stuff. Can continue in this line of thought. We'll take a short break from here. Welcome back. This is Answers with Dr. Reju.
I'll be here for 10 years. And while I'm here for 10 years, this is what I'm going to be doing after 10 years. And start that business as small as it might be. Even if it's just in an idea form. And then begin to put resources aside. Right? Remember the way we define work? Right? Any productive activity, manual, mental, that serves in. I'm combining those two definitions now. Provide a service, gives fulfillment to the worker, it's of benefit to society and gives glory to God. So if a human being is not making a difference, you don't know that you're actually changing something in the landscape of society, you never feel fulfilled. I don't care how much you earn. You never feel fulfilled.
Okay, we'll continue with the philosophy of business. Give us a call or chat us on WhatsApp on 081-4456-9000. That's 081-4456-9000. Check out our website and interact with us on www.answerswithdrreju.com. Like our Facebook page, Answers with Dr. Reju, or send us an email at answerswithdrreju@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are Dr. Reju Answers. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Answers with Dr. Reju, where you can get all our episodes. Join us again on Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified.